The Vehicle Service module in Easy Maintenance software allows you to set up and track maintenance for any type of vehicle. As we move through the Vehicle Service section, please do note that virtually all column headings you will see can be sorted simply by clicking on the column header, which will sort the information either in numerical sequence or alphabetically. As was mentioned in the introduction, when red dots appear, as they do here, they appear on certain sections in which maintenance is either overdue or there are other important items which need to be checked out by the operator. As we move through the Vehicle Service section, you'll note that in all areas where lists appear, overdue maintenance or overdue licenses always appear at the top of each list in red. There is no limit as to the number of vehicles which can be entered. Easy Maintenance's Vehicle Service module also tracks tire mileage and rotation and tire position, and also tracks all driver information, producing reports on expiring driver licenses as well as expiring vehicle licenses. As with other computer programs, Easy Maintenance requires certain basic data to be entered in order for the Vehicle Service module to perform its maintenance functions. Therefore, the first step in using the Vehicle Service module is to click on Setup and enter in the basic data required for the software to perform its vehicle service maintenance. After clicking on the Setup button under the Vehicle Service module heading, this screen appears. The first area into which we will need to enter data is vehicle names. Clicking on this button brings up the following screen. As we move through these data entry areas, it's good to remember that essentially what we're doing here is creating drop-down menus of information. You'll be using this information throughout Easy Maintenance as you develop maintenance schedules, create work orders, and so forth. This first data area, vehicle names, is where you enter the general names of vehicles such as van, passenger car, light truck, and so forth. Later on in the program, when you have individual vans to enter, you would first select the vehicle name van, and then under van you would enter your individual vans, their license number, VIN number, specifications, and so forth. And where this is useful is if you need to find all of your vans, for example, you would simply sort your vehicles by clicking on vehicle name van, and then you would find all of your individual vans under that vehicle name. So this is very useful as you go throughout the program and you set up your vehicles to be able to find them later on. We will now move from here to the next data entry item, which is Vehicle Classifications. We will now click on the Vehicle Classification button. This is where you enter vehicle classifications. These classifications are very important and useful for a variety of things. For example, if you or one of your clients has a number of locations where vehicles are stored or garaged, you can list the locations here. And if you need then to find all of the vehicles that, in this example, are at the Wilshire office or the El Segundo office or so forth, at other places in the program you can simply sort or find your vehicles by the location where they are garaged. If your company does service work for other companies, vehicle classification can be the actual name of your client, and then to find the vehicles that are garaged at your client's offices where you may service them, you simply sort or ask for a list of your vehicles under the name of your client. So you can find all of your vehicles here by where they are located simply by entering their location in vehicle classification. We will now close this screen and we will click on Service Types. This data area is where you enter the various types of service that are performed on the vehicles that you wish to maintain. This can include such things as routine maintenance, transmission maintenance, engine overhaul, and so forth. These service types are used later on in the program as you set up maintenance profiles and work orders. We will now click on Materials. The Vehicle Materials data area is where you enter the various materials that are actually used in the performance of maintenance, such things as head gaskets or spark plugs or belts and so forth. As you can see, you can list a material number and a specific material name. These are used throughout the program as you create work orders, vehicle service profiles, and so forth. In this screen, you are shown material number and material name. But depending on whether or not you're using the inventory functionality, there is other information that you may need to enter. I'll click on Edit to show you this other inventory-related information, but we will not actually be going over this information here since not all of you will be using it. It will be covered later in the inventory section of this demonstration. We are now going to click on the Parts button under the Vehicle Setup menu. This data area is where an operator enters specific parts of a vehicle that require maintenance. For example, a transmission may require maintenance only every 120 days, whereupon routine maintenance on that vehicle may take place every 30 days. So when a work order and a maintenance profile are created, this drop-down menu allows an operator to select specific parts of a vehicle that might need maintenance along with other routine maintenance that is to be performed. In this screen, you are shown part number and part name, but depending on whether or not you are using the inventory functionality, there may be other information that you will need to enter. I'll click on Edit to show you this other inventory-related information, but we will not actually be going over this information here since not all of you will be using it. It will be covered later in the inventory section of this demonstration. We are now going to click on the Services button under the Vehicle Setup menu. This data area is where an operator enters specific service codes and a description of the service to be performed under that code. A service code can be words, a description such as here, full brake, oil filter, and so forth, or it can be an actual numerical code or a combination of words and numbers. And these services and their code designation are used as work orders are created. Some companies use service codes and service descriptions such as this. Some do not. But this area is here for use for a specific code description of a particular type of service. We will now click on the Operations button under the Vehicle Setup menu. The Operations data area is where a specific name of an operation to be performed and a full description of that operation can be entered. What these are used for later on is for work orders. When a work order is printed, it can contain on it a list of everything that needs to be done for a specific maintenance on a vehicle, and it can also list each operation that has to be performed sequentially. In other words, there can be operation number 1, which is brakes, operation number 2, which is drain fluid from the transmission, and so forth. So when a work order is created and a maintenance profile is created, the operator can literally select the operations to be performed on any individual maintenance and have them appear on the work order in the sequence in which they are to be performed. You will notice here on this example, brakes replace caliper, that under operation description there is the word memo, and the first letter of the word memo is capitalized. That is because there is data in this memo field, which I am now going to double click on. The memo field allows for an operator to enter up to a full 8.5 by 11 single-space page of specific instructions of exactly how to perform this operation. And when this operation is selected and prints out on a work order, it prints out all of these details of exactly how to perform the operation. So what Easy Maintenance then allows a user to do is to list all operations to be performed for any kind of a maintenance in specific details, and then have those operations with all the specific details of exactly how to do them appear on every single work order. I'll now close this memo field, and I will close the operations screen. I'm now going to click on the Service Profiles button under the Vehicle Setup menu. The service profile is at the heart of Easy Maintenance, and it can save an operator a tremendous amount of time in setting up the maintenance for a variety of vehicles. The service profile area is designed to allow an operator to set up a profile for the maintenance on a particular kind of vehicle one time, and then be able to use that setup for maintenance on similar kinds of vehicles on a point-and-click basis. I'm now going to demonstrate how a service profile works by selecting a service profile here called Passenger Car Maintenance. When I click on it, you can see the buttons over here have turned black, which means I can access and use those buttons. I'm going to click on the Edit button, which will take us into the service profile, which has already been filled out, of Passenger Car Maintenance. Here is the vehicle service profile for Passenger Car Maintenance. As you can see, the profile name appears here. The description, which can be quite lengthy, appears in this data field here. Below in this screen, under this tab, List of Required Services, is every single maintenance in this example that needs to be done to a passenger car. This tab here, which I'm now going to click on, Checklist of Onboard Parts and Supplies, is a very valuable feature which allows an operator to create a checklist of materials, safety equipment, first aid kits, materials that are used in the driver's work, which have to be kept on a particular vehicle. So the checklist can be created here and then printed for inclusion in the vehicle or for use by management or operators or drivers to make sure that everything that's supposed to be on that vehicle is on there. I'm going to click on List of Required Services again to take us back to the service profile area. Again, these are the services that are required to be performed at varying times on a passenger car. As you can see, routine maintenance is every 3 months, cooling system maintenance is every 6 months, and it can be scheduled by months or mileage or both, whichever occurs first. There's also a comments area. So what we're going to do here is click on one of these maintenances that has to be performed every 3 months on a passenger car so we can take a look at how that was put together and what it entails. As you can see, I clicked on the routine maintenance under Type. These buttons became black. I will now click on Edit. You can see that this one line item of routine maintenance, oil filter is the service code, and belt and hose, this is to be done every 3 months or 3,000 miles. You can see that this particular item that needs to be performed under routine maintenance consists of oil filter change and belt and hose service. So I'm going to select one of these that needs to be done under routine maintenance, and we'll take a look at that. We're basically drilling down into the maintenance profile. So we're going to click on Edit so we can look at what's involved to do an oil and filter change or service under a routine maintenance. As you can see, under Service Details, for an oil and filter change, we have the materials required. And to add a new material, you simply click on New, click on the drop-down menu, and there is a list of all the materials that we entered under the other part of the Setup menu a short time ago. I'm going to click here and not enter anything as we're just using this as an example. These materials can be printed out on a pick list which can be given to inventory for the materials required to actually do the work. The next tab lists all the operations in sequence that need to be done to perform an oil and filter change. And as you recall, the operation, of course, is named and then has a description under the memo field which prints out on the work order exactly what needs to be done to do an oil change and replace the filter. If a new operation needs to be added, you simply click on New, add the sequence, and move to this area and pick the operation from the drop-down menu that we created previously under Setup. And one more move over and you can see that the menu or the memo area now becomes capitalized because this has instructions written in it. A double click on the memo area will let the operator look at what is in that area to make sure it's correct, and this memo will print out on the work order. So when the work order is printed, this list of operations for an oil and filter change under a routine maintenance will print out in the sequence, the order that they need to be done with the operation name and complete instructions on exactly what to do. This tab is a checklist of parts to service. So if there's a particular part of a vehicle, such as the engine or the transmission or the brakes that needs to be checked at this routine maintenance point, you can enter it here. In this case, the engine shows up, and that will print out on the work order for the person doing the maintenance, so they check the engine along with the oil and filter change. So that is how a service detail is built under a service profile. I will now move out of here by clicking on OK. We're walking back up through the service profile, so I will click on this. We're now at the service profile detail. These are all the maintenances that need to be done for a passenger car, and we just looked at a 3-month routine maintenance, so I'll click out of here. And we are back at the service profile. So in short, a service profile for a passenger car requires these maintenances to be done at these monthly intervals or these mileage points on every passenger car. So when the service profiles are completed, then each new, to follow this example through, passenger car which is added, to set up all the maintenance for that passenger car, all that needs to be done is to select the service profile for passenger cars, and all of the maintenance already entered under the service profile for passenger cars will automatically schedule itself with one mouse click for the new passenger car that the operator just entered. So as you can see, service profiles, when they are completed, once they are done for one vehicle, they are available at a mouse click for every other vehicle of the same type, making setting up maintenance for each new vehicle of the same type that's entered a matter of simply entering the details of the vehicle, VIN number, serial number, license number, and so forth, and then clicking on the service profile for that type of vehicle, and all the maintenance is scheduled automatically from the date that vehicle was entered. I will now close the service profile area, and we will move on to the next item. We've now completed our discussion and illustrations of how to use the vehicle setup menu. As we close out of this area and move into the rest of the Easy Maintenance Vehicle Service module, there are a couple of points to bear in mind. First of all, the entire vehicle setup data entry does not have to be completed in one sitting. Most users of Easy Maintenance enter the data they need to schedule maintenance and create work orders as it is required. It certainly can be done all in one sitting, of course, but it does not have to be, and Easy Maintenance can be used just fine if it's created as the need arises. The second thing to consider is that you may have noticed as we enter data here, and you certainly will notice as we move through the rest of the program, that driver information, parts, services, materials, in short, everything under vehicle setup cannot be entered on the fly in other parts of the vehicle service module. Data such as vehicle names, classifications, service types, material, and so forth can only be entered under the vehicle setup menu. The reason for this is management control. All people who are using the Easy Maintenance Vehicle Service module are using the same data, the same materials, the same services, the same operations, and individual maintenance employees cannot be entering materials and operations and so forth that have not been entered in the drop-down menus, which means they have been pre-approved by management. We'll now close the vehicle setup area and move on to the actual functionality of Easy Maintenance. Now that we've completed our discussion on how to set up data and drop-down menus in the Vehicle Service module for Easy Maintenance, we'll move on to the Vehicles to Service button. Clicking on that button brings up the following screen. As you can see, it shows a listing of all the vehicles which have already been entered for maintenance tracking and service in Easy Maintenance, and down below is a snapshot of the details of whatever vehicle is highlighted. At the top of the screen, you'll see a data field called Vehicle Class Filter. If you've used the feature of Easy Maintenance, which allows you to tag vehicles with their location, say at a separate facility or a warehouse, for example, and you wish to find all of the vehicles at that location and view or work with only those, you simply click on the down arrow on this drop-down menu and select the location for which you wish to find all of the vehicles. Easy Maintenance will then sort the vehicles by the location you have selected and present to you here only the vehicles at the location which you have selected from the drop-down menu. On the right-hand side of this screen, you see a button titled Reset Consumption Flag. When you enter in vehicle data into Easy Maintenance, you have the option to set fuel usage parameters. And when a vehicle falls outside of those usage parameters, it shows up on the screen here in red, as do vehicles 100, 200, and 300. This indicates to the operator that those vehicles are not operating efficiently and may need service in addition to their routine maintenance. Once service has been performed, you can simply click on Reset Consumption Flag and it will remove the red notation on the vehicles that have been serviced due to being outside of the fuel consumption parameters you have set for them. Directly below the Reset Consumption Flag button, you will find the Locate By feature. If you don't have a great number of vehicles, this feature may not be too important to you. But if you do have a large number of vehicles, this feature makes it very quick and easy to find a vehicle by vehicle number or by plate number. The Usage Log and Print Log buttons we will address in just a moment. The Print Vehicle Information button allows you to print out all the information on any specific vehicle which you select from the list above. Moving back to the vehicle listing, you can see that under Vehicle Number, for the purposes of this demonstration, we set up the vehicle numbers very simply, 100, 200, 300, and so on. But in the Vehicle Number data field, when you set up a new vehicle, you can enter almost any size number you want, including letters. This data field is fairly lengthy. When you click on a vehicle number here, you will note that the information under Vehicle Information below changes to reflect the vehicle you selected. For example, if we click on number 200, light truck, you note that the information here changes, which gives you a detail of the information that is tied into this vehicle number, which is a light truck. To enter information for a new vehicle, you simply click on the New button at the bottom of this screen. Rather than do that, I'll go ahead and select a vehicle for which data has already been entered. In this case, vehicle number 100, a van. And I'll click on Edit so we can take a look at the information which has already been inputted. As you can see, Easy Maintenance contains data fields for the entry of all basic data on each vehicle. These data fields include the type of vehicle, which in this case is a van, the vehicle class, which is where the vehicle is garaged out of, the make, the year built, the number of passenger seats, transmission, and so forth. I'd like to specifically mention the data field called Set Advance Notice Flag for usage. This data field is designed to allow users of Easy Maintenance to, if they so desire, set a flag so Easy Maintenance will notify them in advance of maintenance actually being due on a particular vehicle. As you can see in this example, the advance notice flag has been set at 50 miles. This means that for this vehicle, each time it gets within 50 miles on the odometer reading of needing periodic maintenance, Easy Maintenance will flag the operator that maintenance is approaching. The customer data field at the top of this form is for use by those who may be servicing vehicles for outside customers. In this example, if this van is being serviced for an outside customer, that customer can simply be selected by clicking on the down arrow on this drop-down menu. When the customer is selected, that customer name and address will appear on all work orders. The comments data field here is quite lengthy and allows you, should it be necessary, to put in extensive notes about this particular vehicle. Here you find the service start date, which Easy Maintenance defaults to the day that you enter this vehicle's information, the starting usage meter, which is the odometer reading, in this case it's 0, the usage units, which is miles, fuel units, gallons, and minimum fuel efficiency. Now, minimum fuel efficiency is the miles per gallon that you can set to be the efficiency you want for this vehicle. And should the fuel economy drop below that, the program will automatically flag your maintenance staff to look at that vehicle and make sure it does not need maintenance over and above the regularly scheduled maintenance for that vehicle. Here on the right-hand side of this screen as well, you see 6 data fields. The captions for these data fields can be customized by you for each individual vehicle. You simply click on Customize Captions, and you may enter your own titles for each of these data fields. If you have special data fields that are unique to your business or your industry, you can set them up here. The Reproduce button at the bottom of this screen can be a real time saver if you have multiple vehicles to enter of the same type. If, for example, you have numerous 2000 Ford vans to enter, you can enter one of them and then simply click on the Reproduce button, which will reproduce all of the information, allowing you to change only the information relevant to the new van you're entering. Here is the vehicle service profile. As you recall from the setup menu, which we've just gone through, once you've created a vehicle service profile, all you need to do is select that profile, and all the maintenance required for, in this case a van, will show up down here and will automatically schedule themselves in Easy Maintenance from the day you entered in this vehicle. So in other words, once you enter a new vehicle, you simply select the vehicle profile which you've already created, and that profile automatically schedules all the maintenance for that type of vehicle. So again, once you've created a vehicle service profile, setting up a profile for a new vehicle of the same type is literally one mouse click. I'm now going to return to the previous screen so we can discuss the usage log. Easy Maintenance tracks mileage and fuel usage. To enter new information for a particular vehicle, you simply highlight the vehicle. In this case, I will click on van number 100 and click on Usage Log. Here you have a snapshot of mileage and fuel usage information for this vehicle to date. To enter new information, we simply click on the New button. Here you will see the last meter reading, which is the last odometer reading. You can enter the current reading, the state in which the mileage was generated if you need to track that on a state-by-state basis, and also the fuel that was used since the last entry. You can also add extensive notes here. When you close this screen, Easy Maintenance will automatically update all information, including fuel efficiency. You can see there is a Print Log button here as well. To print the log, both mileage and fuel, for a particular vehicle, you simply highlight the vehicle and click on the Print Log button. I will now click on the OK button, which takes us back to the main Easy Maintenance screen. We have now arrived at the Service Due button under the Vehicle Service module in Easy Maintenance. To recap a bit, when maintenance is scheduled for any vehicle in Easy Maintenance, and these can be multiple maintenance events for the same vehicle, of course, Easy Maintenance automatically schedules that maintenance. The first question that a service manager or maintenance manager is going to ask each day when they use the program is there any maintenance due today, and or is there any maintenance overdue? And by clicking on the Service Due button, the maintenance manager can see all service due now or all service which is overdue, and can then decide to issue a work order for service that's due or overdue or not, depending upon what the maintenance manager can schedule and what they decide to do about any particular maintenance that is due. Easy Maintenance automatically reschedules maintenance once it is completed. For example, if a maintenance cycle is 30 days, each 30 days, if maintenance is due today on a 30-day maintenance, it appears on the list of maintenance to be completed today. When that maintenance is done and the work order is closed, the maintenance event is taken out of the schedule and rescheduled for 30 days from now, 30 days from the time that the work order was closed. It works the same way with mileage. If the mileage cycle for maintenance is 3,000 miles, for example, if today the 3,000 mile point has been reached, then that maintenance will appear on a list of maintenances to complete today. When it is completed, the work order is closed, and Easy Maintenance will automatically schedule the next 3,000 mile maintenance for 3,000 miles from the day the work order was closed. I'm now going to click on the Service Due button. As you can see, clicking on the Service Due button brings up this box, which gives us three options to check service due: by vehicle, by date, and by usage. We'll take a brief look at each of these methods of checking service due for vehicles, and then discuss the capabilities of Easy Maintenance for producing work orders and assigning them to specific maintenance personnel. Clicking on the By Vehicle button brings us to this screen. Here you will find a complete listing of every vehicle which has been entered into the Easy Maintenance system. In order to find vehicles easily, clicking on the header Vehicle Number or VIN or License Number will sort the vehicle by those numbers in descending order. Should you have a great number of vehicles entered into the system, you can use the Locate By function at the top of the screen here, where you can simply type in a vehicle number or a work order number, and Easy Maintenance will find that vehicle for you from the list on this screen. Simply clicking on a vehicle's number, as we will do here by clicking on vehicle number 100, an operator can see all of the maintenance that has been scheduled for that particular vehicle, when the next maintenance is due in terms of time, or the miles until the next service due. If a service due has been missed, in this case service due has been missed in terms of mileage, the missed service due will appear in red as it does here. From this screen you can create new unscheduled work orders in the event of emergency maintenance for specific vehicles. You can create or edit work orders for vehicles, assign work orders to specific maintenance personnel, print a list of all of the vehicles, or create a calendar and print it out, which will show all maintenance events during a selected time frame. We'll go into the specifics of how work orders are created and assigned in just a few moments. Once a work order has been created, the screen allows the operator to print the work order, either a full report or a custom report, where the operator can select whether just the service summary of the work order is to be printed, the parts to service, the materials, or the operations, or all of them. Before we go into the specifics of scheduling work orders and assigning them, let's take a quick look at the other methods of checking service due. Closing out of this screen, we are brought back to the Service Due box, where we will now click on the By Date button. This Service Due by Date screen shows the operator all maintenance due, beginning with the next date that maintenance is due for any vehicle in the system. As you can see from this screen as well, new unscheduled work orders can be created. Work orders for regular routine maintenance may be created or edited. Work orders may be assigned. A list may be printed of all work orders or maintenance due, and a calendar can be created for a selected date range. As you can see at the top of this window, you can also here as well locate vehicles by vehicle number or work order number, and you can print a work order by either a full report or a custom report, selecting which features of the work order you wish to print. We will now close out of this area and look at the last way to check maintenance due, which is by usage. Clicking on the By Usage button brings us to this form. As you can see, the Locate By functions and the Report functions at the top of the form are the same as in the By Vehicle and By Date maintenance areas. On the left-hand side of this screen, you'll see Miles Left, which is a snapshot of how many miles are left until maintenance is due on particular vehicles. The reason that numbers appear in red is that maintenance is overdue on certain vehicles in terms of mileage. As you can see at the bottom of this screen, the same functions for creating new unscheduled work orders, creating and editing regular work orders, assigning work orders, printing a list, and a calendar are the same here as in the By Vehicle and By Date maintenance areas of Easy Maintenance. Again, although we are using the Service Due by Usage area to illustrate the creation and assignment of work orders can be created and assigned in exactly the manner we're going to illustrate here from the Service Due areas by Vehicle and the Service Due areas by Date, as well as this area, the Service Due by Usage. All work orders, whether they are regularly scheduled preventive maintenance work orders or unscheduled work orders for emergency maintenance, when they are completed and closed, go into the history of the individual vehicle for which the work order was performed. A bit later on in this demonstration, we will show you a history report which details everything that was done to a particular vehicle and all costs. Here in the service due by usage area, an operator can determine that maintenance is due simply by looking under the miles left column. If a vehicle's maintenance is overdue in terms of mileage, that mileage will show up in red as it does here. An operator can also look at the miles left which are not overdue and determine whether or not maintenance should be performed at this point. When an operator determines that preventive maintenance should be performed and wishes to create a work order, the operator simply clicks on the vehicle line item for which he wishes to create a work order. I am going to click on a work order which has already been created and then click on Create Edit Work Order so we can take a look at a work order which is already in process. This is the standard work order creation and editing screen. At the very top you'll see the work order number which Easy Maintenance sets by default in sequence. You also have the date that the work order was originally created. Below that you see two tabs, one for Vehicle and one for Customer. The Vehicle tab shows the default information of the vehicle for which the work order is being created. The information is browned out as an operator cannot change the vehicle information on a work order issued for that vehicle. If the vehicle for which this work order is being created is for an outside customer, clicking on the Customer tab will show all of the customer information for this particular vehicle. At the upper right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a large data area for vehicle reference notes. The operator can insert into this area any specialized notes for this particular vehicle and work order. From this screen, a work order can either be created, edited, or completed by someone with a manager password. A number of the data fields here are to be filled out by someone with a manager's password when the work order has been completed and is ready to be closed and added to the history of a particular vehicle. When notes to a work order have been added and the user wishes those notes to appear in the history of the vehicle, they simply click on the box next to the Notes data field and all of the notes in that data field will appear on the history of this vehicle. If a work order has listed certain services to be performed and all of those services are not performed, or if services above what is listed are performed, the exceptions checkbox can be marked and any exceptions typed into the data field. This information will appear on the history of the vehicle for this work order as well. The Serviced By, Approved By, and Assigned To data fields can be filled out when the work order is closed as appropriate, and the labor hours, total number of labor hours, the average cost of those labor hours, the vehicle downtime, and the materials cost can be entered as appropriate when the work order is closed. All of this information goes into the history of this vehicle and the history of this particular work order for that vehicle. You will note that in this example, a dollar figure for total materials cost already appears in the total materials cost data field. If you are using the inventory module of Easy Maintenance, the cost of materials is automatically inserted into this materials cost data field when the work order is closed. Under the Scheduled column, the originally scheduled completion date for this preventive maintenance appears. As you can see, it is browned out and cannot be changed. The days since the last service also appear and cannot be changed. The original odometer reading appears and cannot be changed, and the miles since the last service appears and cannot be changed. All of this is important for the history of this vehicle and cannot be altered. Under the Actual column, when the actual work is completed, the real date of when the scheduled work was completed appears there and cannot be changed. The days since the last service also appear when the work order is completed and cannot be changed. The odometer data field under the Actual column allows the operator to insert the odometer reading at the time the maintenance was actually performed. All of the data fields which appear here in white are filled out by a user with a management password only after this particular work order is completed and ready to be closed. When this work order is originally issued for services to be performed, Under the Services heading is a list of all of the work that needs to be done to complete this scheduled work order. Should for any reason these regularly scheduled services need to be altered, the user can simply click on the Edit button, which brings us to the Edit screen. From this screen, simply by clicking on the tabs, the user can add to or edit the materials required for this service, the operations to be performed, or the individual parts of the vehicle to be serviced as part of this scheduled preventive maintenance. When a work order is ready to be issued for work to be performed, the operator can select whether or not all days are valid, meaning this work order can be performed on any day of the week, including Saturday and Sunday, whether or not Saturday and Sunday should be excluded, or whether Sunday only should be excluded. When the work order is ready to be issued, from this screen as well, the operator can decide whether to print the entire work order consisting of a service summary, the parts to service, materials required and operations required, or to create a custom work order containing only one or a few of these items. We will now return to the Service by Usage screen to discuss a few more features of the work orders. The new Unscheduled Work Order button is for the creation of a work order for emergency maintenance or other unscheduled maintenance. Clicking on the new Unscheduled Work Order button brings us to this screen. At the top left of the screen is a data field for vehicle number. Clicking on the down arrow by this data field brings up a drop-down list on which all vehicle numbers are listed. Selecting a vehicle from this drop-down list, as I am doing here, automatically puts the information for that vehicle, the license plate, the VIN, the make, the year built, and so forth, into this unscheduled work order. As you can see, the data fields on this screen for an unscheduled work order are the same as a regularly scheduled work order. However, at the bottom of this screen, under the Services section, the services and the service profile are blank. This is because this is an unscheduled work order and the services to be performed need to be entered. If a service profile already exists for the work that needs to be performed on this unscheduled work order, that profile can simply be selected by clicking on the drop-down menu. However, the profile may simply be emergency maintenance, which can be selected as well, and the same is true of service type. If special services need to be put on the work order for the emergency maintenance to be done, that can be accomplished by the operator simply by clicking on the New button and entering whatever services need to be performed to complete this emergency maintenance. Once an unscheduled work order, such as this one, has been completed for a particular vehicle, the data fields are filled out as with a regularly scheduled work order, and the unscheduled work order is closed, at which point it becomes part of the history of the vehicle for which it was done. We'll now return to the main Service by Usage screen and look at how work orders are assigned. Once work orders have been completed, but before they are printed, they can be assigned to specific maintenance personnel or staff members simply by clicking on the Assign Work Orders button. If the operator of Easy Maintenance wishes to print any of the work orders which have not been completed, the operator simply clicks on the To Print box next to that particular work order. If they wish to assign a work order to a particular staff member, they simply click on the down arrow and select the staff member to whom that work order is to be assigned. Here too, the type of work order to be printed, what is to be contained in the work order printed, can be selected by using the box at the upper right-hand side of the screen. Once this has been completed, the operator simply clicks on the Print List button below, and all work orders will be batch printed, and on each work order will be the name of the person to whom that work order has been assigned. Again, all of this work order creation and functionality can be performed not just from the Service Due by Usage area, but also from the Service Due by Vehicle or the Service Due by Date area. We will now close the Service Due menu and move on to the Print Service Due button. In many cases, a maintenance manager or a user of Easy Maintenance will wish to print out a report on the service due on a specific vehicle. They can do this quickly and easily simply by clicking on the Print Service Due button, which takes us to this menu. A simple click on the drop-down menu here gives a list of all of the plate numbers or vehicle numbers for every vehicle entered into Easy Maintenance. One can simply be selected, and by clicking on OK, a report of all the service due on this one particular vehicle will be generated and can be printed. We will not print that report here or bring it up the screen, as screen limitations will not show the full report. And again, we recommend very strongly that you open the file on the CD if you have downloaded, or if you're using this demo from a CD, the Word document file with the Easy Maintenance reports in it, or you download the report file from our website where you obtained this demo. I will now click on Cancel, and we will move on to the next feature of Easy Maintenance. As you recall from our discussion of the service due area, where maintenance due or overdue can be found by vehicle, by mileage, or by date, work orders can be opened and closed from that area when the work is complete. However, since there are 3 different areas where work orders can be opened, what is required for use of a maintenance program in a convenient, efficient manner is a place to see all work orders which have been issued and are either open or closed, where a supervisor can edit them or close them from one convenient location. So we'll now click on the Service History, View, Approve, and Edit button and take a look at that. By doing so, this screen appears, titled Service Record Approval. Records can be found located by vehicle number, by license of the vehicle, or by work order number. Simply click in the circle of which one you want to locate by, type in the relevant information here, click on Locate, and the work order will be highlighted here below. You can also scroll through the work orders as they appear in the list here. So what appears in this list are work orders that have been issued, the vehicle they've been issued for, the relevant vehicle information, when the work order was completed, service type, and so forth, and who the work order was assigned to. Now when a supervisor goes into this particular screen, they can see that these work orders have been issued, the work's been completed, so the work order has been closed, but the work order has not been approved. And only somebody with a management supervisory password can approve a work order. So this is a check on all of the work that is done, where a maintenance staffer can do the work and close the work order saying, I have completed this work, but it must be approved by a supervisor. And this is a fast, easy, convenient place to go for a supervisor to look at the work orders that have been completed but have not been approved. They can then go in and review the work order simply by selecting one, clicking on Edit, and looking at the work order itself and seeing what was done, what the labor hours were, what the costs were, vehicle downtime, what the materials costs, and they can also look at any notes or exceptions that were put in by the person who did the work. For example, an exception may be that the work called for a filter change to be made, but the filter was fine and they didn't make the filter change. Exceptions or notes such as that can be added here, and if the supervisor or the person entering the notes clicks this box, then the exceptions as they're entered here and the notes as they're entered here will show up on the vehicle history report. And here is the data field where whoever approves this work order would put in their name or their password name. So this gives, again, supervisory staff a very convenient location to go to approve work orders, to see which work orders have been completed and not approved, to review the information, to add in any notes which are relevant to the history of the vehicle, and then finalize the work order. So I will now click OK, and we will close out of this area. We will click Close here, which is the listing of work orders which have been done but not approved, which takes us back to the main menu. One of the most important aspects of a maintenance program, of course, is to be able to track what the maintenance costs have been on a particular vehicle in this case. The Vehicle Service module with the Print Vehicle Service Log button allows a user of Easy Maintenance to select a vehicle and with a mouse click print out a full maintenance history along with a summation of all costs for that particular vehicle. I will now click on the Print Vehicle Service Log button, which brings us to this menu. A vehicle, a specific vehicle, can be selected by clicking on the down arrow and picking a vehicle number, or clicking on the down arrow by license plate and selecting a plate number. In this case, we will use the down arrow for the vehicle number. Now normally what we have recommended that you do is to look at the reports, such as the Service Log by Vehicle report, in the reports file that is included either on the CD that you're using to view this demo or on the website, our website, where you downloaded this demo. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK and pull up the report so we can see the summation of costs on the vehicle service log for a particular vehicle. Instructing Easy Maintenance to print a report brings up this window with all the options you have for creating that report. First, you will notice that you have the option to either select printing the report directly to a printer or to open the report in an Excel spreadsheet where you can edit the report to meet your needs. If you select to Excel, you have the option to create a new Excel file or use an existing one. If you choose to use an existing file, you can either have Easy Maintenance overwrite the file or append the report information to the end of the file. I am going to select to printer and click OK so you can see what the report would look like if it were printed. Easy Maintenance now brings up the service history for the vehicle we selected. And when this report is printed, which is done simply with a mouse click, it prints out on one 8.5 by 11 page or multiple pages if the service history is quite long. Under this column, we see all of the work orders that have been issued for repairs or maintenance on this vehicle, the types of service performed, the due date, when the service was completed, who performed it, who approved it. None of these work orders have been approved, so the approvals do not show up here. We see the labor hours that were involved to perform each maintenance event. We see the labor costs for each maintenance event, the materials cost, and the downtime. And here at the upper right-hand corner of this report, we see a summation of the labor hours, total labor costs, total materials costs, and total costs overall for all of the maintenance done on this vehicle, along with the total amount of downtime hours. So with a quick, concise report like this, operators can see not only each individual maintenance event on this vehicle, but a summation of all of the costs and hours downtime which were generated by that maintenance activity. This report also is extremely valuable in the event that there is an accident or particular maintenance needs to be tracked down to ascertain both that it was done, by whom it was done, and who approved it. We will now move out of this report, which takes us back to the main menu of Easy Maintenance. Many companies, particularly those who have buses and trucks or engage in interstate commerce, lease tires or retread tires and have a need either for insurance or regulatory requirements to track tire mileage and tire rotation. Easy Maintenance is set up to accommodate these needs. The tire mileage and rotation button, when clicked on, brings us to a screen where individual tire numbers can be entered and individual tires set up to be tracked. This is done quite simply. Clicking on the New button allows the operator to enter the tire number, the name, the size, and all of the relevant starting information on a tire, because sometimes a tire may be starting at a mileage that is not new mileage. In other words, it may be a used tire or a retread, all of which has to be recorded. And this screen allows the initial information on a tire that's being leased or is a retread or simply needs to be tracked for whatever reason to be entered here. We'll go ahead and move out of here, and that will be a yes since we didn't make any changes. Otherwise, this would record as a blank screen. And now what we're going to do to see how this really works is we're going to pick a tire which has already had the information entered, and we're going to click on the Edit button so we can look at an actual filled out information data screen for a particular tire. This shows us that this tire on this date was put on this vehicle in this position. Here's the starting odometer, here's the ending odometer, the total mileage of the tire for this position, the accumulated miles, and then the next date is the date of the next rotation to, again in this case, vehicle 1, but it could be any vehicle, it could be rotated to a different vehicle, the position, starting odometer, closing odometer reading, total mileage, and accumulated miles for the whole tire, and so on. And each time new mileage is entered, you can simply click on the Recalc button and it will recalculate all of the mileage. So again, Easy Maintenance through the tire rotation record has a fast and easy way, if it is a requirement of your company or one of your clients' company to track mileage on a tire, to do so. We'll now cancel out of this screen. We made no changes, so I'm going to click on Yes. We're back to the central screen where tire information can be entered, which I will now close and return to the main menu of Easy Maintenance. The last buttons on the Vehicle Service main menu in Easy Maintenance allow for an operator to quickly and easily pull reports. The first of these is the Tire Position Report, and by clicking on the Print Tire Position Report button, we receive this menu window. The down arrow allows the operator to select a particular tire they would like to pull a report on, and by clicking on Preview or Print, if they wish to print the report, the operator will get a complete report on this tire, the beginning mileage, each rotation of the tire and the mileage of that rotation, and the total mileage on the tire. This report can be extremely valuable in the case that a tire fails, or if a regulatory or leasing agency needs a report on the mileage of the tire itself. I'll cancel out of here without pulling the report because, again, this is located in the report file which we have discussed previously. I will now click on the Drivers tab under the Vehicle Setup menu. This area allows the operator to enter data on each individual driver, including license information, expiration dates, and so forth. In order to illustrate how this works, I will select one of the drivers and we'll go into edit mode so we can look at a filled out driver profile. As you can see here, drivers can be found simply by typing in the driver number, and the driver will be highlighted here in the list of drivers. If you have only a few drivers, that's not as important an item, but if you have many drivers, this particular locate function makes it very quick and easy to find any driver that your company may be using. So I will highlight Robert here, driver 123, and we will go into the edit mode and take a look at Robert as a driver. As you can see, here are all of Robert's details, all of his address and contact information, and below in licenses is listed each license that this particular driver has and the expiration date. These expiration dates are used by the software to track when the driver's license expires, and these can include health certificates, and to print a report for management at any time of all expiring licenses. This tab, Incidents, is used to record euphemistically called driver incidences, which can range from tickets to more serious offenses. Tracking this information can be very important for insurance purposes. I'll click on OK to move back out of the screen to the list of drivers. So when a new driver needs to be entered, you simply click on New Driver, which brings up a screen where all of the new driver information can be entered, which we just examined under the editing of Robert's record. I will now close out the new driver and the driver list area by clicking on Close. The expiring driver's license button and the expiring vehicle license button allow an operator with a mouse click to generate a report that shows either all expiring driver licenses, including health certificates, or all expiring vehicle licenses. This is a very powerful and effective tool to keep any driver from being on the street in a vehicle with an expired license or health certificate, and to keep any vehicle from being driven with an expired vehicle license.